Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while. I have a lot of stuff coming, and we recently went to Camp Hero again. This is Danielle's first time in 10 months going there, and we are going to continue that video in a moment. I have to give a little background on what we brought with us to use on this day, the Dicyanin Aura goggles. This time we had a Dicyanin lens phone adapter kit. So I want to give special thanks to Becky, who so generously sent these to us as a surprise. I didn't even know these existed, and she just happened to give us the Aura goggles on the very first time we took her into the radar. She drove across the country to get here. Because she's so generous, she left us with a pair of the Dicyanin Aura goggles, and I actually brought them with us that day into the radar. And I put them on, and as I tried them on in the radar, I noticed I started getting used to them. It takes a few minutes when you put them on to start acclimating to the light, and you could start adjusting. But at that moment, she had been using this really cool camera. It uses old movie film before, like not silent movies, but yeah, they were silent movies. They're on film, so they had to be developed. They're home movie cameras. I've seen these cameras before, but she actually had a modernized one that was retrofitted to shoot an 8mm film, so it's super high quality. You could zoom with a microscope onto a film negative, because it's actually sunlight cuts right into silver emulsion, and it cuts right from the sun right into the image, so you can actually blow it up into infinity with film. But with digital, it's got a digital sampling rate, which means it cuts away a lot of the picture and you lose like parts of the image, so it's less quality to begin with. The same thing as a vinyl record versus tape versus CD and now MP3. You're losing most of the music by the time we got to the digital age. So this is the same thing with light and film and cameras. So these goggles are pure filters of ultraviolet light. And when I put them on the radar, nothing happened with me, but as Becky was using the 8mm film camera, she caught this floating head above us near the rafters of the roof when the camera was pointed up towards the rafters. And she noticed it and pointed it out, and then sent this to me in the mail so I could use it. And, gave me permission to show everybody, which I really respect and appreciate. This looks like, to me, I actually thought it looked kind of like Preston Nichols or Al Bielek, or maybe a combination of the two, or some unknown person. We don't even know who this is. But the way it was floating like a disembodied head, we were just leaving the radar, and that's when we caught it above us. I had been standing 3 feet away with the Dicyanin goggles on. So that was my first experience, and it was pretty amazing. So when I took these home, I haven't really, experimented with them much. I had a friend ask me, can you show me what it looks like through them with your phone right now? So I said, sure. I stuck the phone in the goggles and took a picture at the beach, and there was no bird in the sky or anything. There was nothing there, because you guys know me. If there's a bird, I'm going to film it, follow it, and zoom in, because if you watch my videos, I do that all the time. And there was nothing there, I promise you. And this is what was in the picture. It looks like a white disc there in the background. It was not there. You could not see this with your eyes. It's invisible. But I was shocked at this, and I was kind of laughing about it. So the next time we used this, we brought the Dicyanin goggles to the solar eclipse, the 2024 total solar eclipse, which we went to Montauk to view right in front of the radar. And I had several cameras with different light spectrums. I had one with just pure infrared, and this was my UV. I actually had one that was pure ultraviolet. I'll tell you how I made those filters some other time. But we also had the Aura goggles, and I used a selfie stick to prop the goggles forward and stuck a GoPro inside of it. Left it on the roof of my minivan that I have, and we let it run for an hour, and then I sped it up, and this is the video. And we seem to have captured what looks to be an aurora borealis type of reaction in the sky. It's not an actual aurora, but it is some kind of effect that was only picked up through the Dicyanin lens, not the other cameras. What was picked up on all the cameras was this weird object that looks like a plane coming down, like a contrail. It's too slow to be a meteor, but it drops down, and then it hits the cloud, and then it seems to stick in the cloud, like a stick, like you can see the contrail or the chemtrail, whatever you want to call it, and then it drifts away in the clouds. So it's like this thing came down, stuck in the clouds, and then floated away in the clouds. There's also some seriously strange clouds that look like solid objects. You have other objects flying through the sky. And then, so this was totally impressive to us. We were shocked at some of the stuff, and we really didn't have too much time to really experiment with these so far. These are from the museumoftarot.com, and they're not cheap, but they're definitely worth it. There's some confusion over the red Vietnam night vision goggles. A lot of people think they're dicyanin, and I didn't know myself. My father was in helicopters in avionics during Vietnam era, and I need to ask him if he ever got to wear these, because they had them in the avionics pilots and the gunners. They're called ANPVS-5A. They're not dicyanin though, so I did go right to the wiki and search through it and to try to find out what they're made of. And they're magnified light tubes common to like modern night vision, which are worth looking into as well if the rumors are true about seeing, demons over the battlefield during Vietnam, which would make sense too for a spiritual level. And then, how we're blind to most of the spectrums. But I did want to figure this all out. So I went to Wiki, didn't find the dicyanin. I asked AI overview, and it says clearly here they were not dicyanin. And that's the thing, if you look on Google results, the conspiracies are saying these are red phosphorus night vision. That's just not true. They didn't make these with red phosphorus. They were either amplified light tubes, and then they used dicyanin for other things. But I haven't found any real results on red phosphorus. But Dicyanin glass, Dicyanin goggles, are related to Auric photography, also known as Kirlian photography, which is you may have seen some old textbooks that show photographing auras. A lot of it was found out in the East back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. There's a huge amount of documentation you could read about that stuff, but I will leave that up to you to check out. I just wanted to try to sort through this and figure out what is what. So one of my favorite 80s movies is They Live, which is 100% about dicyanin goggles. This takes place in a world where we are not awake in an artificial state of consciousness that resembles sleep, like a trance. We serve our masters, perched on top of us from birth to death. They're the reptilians. And it has underground bases, so I love this movie. I watched it dozens of times in my childhood days. And now I realize these are dicyanin goggles the whole time. Dicyanin glasses. You could even see when they're making them in the secret rebel headquarters. They have the bottles of dye and the glass. They're making their lenses. So Rowdy Piper finds these sunglasses, cases of them. And when he puts them on, you can see here on the street, all of the signs, all of the advertising, marketing are subliminal messages. Read between the subliminal lines, and you're seeing things for what they really are. It's a pretty amazing movie, and I was pretty shocked to just realize after all these years that these are actually dicyanin lenses. That brings us current to the last 2 months, where Becky just sent me a surprise gift. It's a phone adapter with a clip and 3 different lenses that you can fasten in and clip onto your phone. So now we can film through our smartphones with dicyanin with this special kit. And of course, we're bringing this to Camp Hero the first time we went back. And that happens to be part 2 of this most recent trip to Montauk.